Good morning, second grade. We're getting ready to start our second week of our online math lesson. We're going to jump to a new topic today. Last week we talked about money, and your problem was about solving money word problems. But this week we're going to jump to a new topic of graphs, and we'll be talking about this topic for a while. So first we have to figure out what a graph is, and then we'll talk about the different types and how to make the different types of graphs. So a graph or chart shows information in different ways. So graph and chart can mean the same thing. A bar chart could also be a bar graph. It should be easy to read. So I have an example here of the first type of graph that we're going to talk about, which is a bar graph. And you can see that I have different colored bars that represent different numbers. So we have our orange bar, which is equal to 4, purple is 2, green 5, and red 3. A bar graph uses words, numbers, and bars. So we have some names down here. You could have different things here. You could have types of pets. You could have titles of books. You could have numbers even here. Sometimes you would have numbers and then how many students or how many pets had that number. And then we have our words down here, which are our title. And the title of this graph is Books Read by Second Grade. And then we have our numbers going across the top. So using the information that we have, using our words, our bars, and our numbers, we should be able to read what this graph is. So Kino read 4 books. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can count the number of squares his bar takes up. Kevin read 2 books. Michael read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. And Journey read 3 books. Okay? Now, no, this is not real data. I just made it up, but I just used names and numbers in different colors to show how to make a bar graph. So your problem of the week this week involves you making a graph with information that you were given in the problem. So I'm going to show you the steps of making a bar graph so you can solve your problem. And to do that, I'll move my camera back. To do that, we are going to use Easter eggs. And I'm going to open up the Easter eggs, and then I'm going to graph whatever's inside. So when we make a bar graph or any type of graph, it has to have some different things. So the first thing it needs to have is a title. My title, if you can read that, is Jelly Bean Graph. So what do you think is inside the Easter eggs? Probably jelly beans, okay? So that's going to be my title. I'm going to graph the jelly beans that I find in my eggs. You can see on this side, I've got my data portion ready. Data is the number of each. And then here are my names, or it could be types of pets. Again, these are my labels. So I'm going to look for red jelly beans, green jelly beans, yellow jelly beans, purple, and pink jelly beans. And I'm going to graph how many of each that I have. Go ahead and pause the video right now, and I want you to get your paper ready for your graph for the problem of the week. So you are going to put your title on there. Go ahead and get your data section ready. Again, this section over here is how many of each of the different labels that you have. So on my graph, I'm going to put how many of the different colored jelly beans I have. And we're going to use bars to do that since it's a bar graph. So go ahead and pause the video right here. Get your paper looking like mine. Remember, yours is not going to be jelly beans. It's going to be something different. And then give your paper some labels. And when you're ready, you can start the video back up again. Okay, if you're watching, that means that you have created your template or your blank graph. You've got labels on here. You've got your title, and you've got a bar for your data. Now, make sure when you have your data, you leave some space at the top because I stopped my data bar at 12, but I could get 13 or 14 of one color, and I don't know yet because I haven't collected my data. So just make sure that you leave some space at the top to allow for some extra. All right, so now that we have our graph drawn and ready, we're going to collect our data. So I am going to use these plastic Easter eggs. There are jelly beans in each one. I'm going to crack them open and I'm going to see how many of each color. And then I'm just going to kind of sort the jelly beans into piles for right now. So I'll go ahead and, it's kind of hard to see. I don't want them to spill out like that one just did, but you can see how many different colors I have in each egg. And then I'm just going to separate them into piles. So this one is orange, or pink, excuse me, that one's kind of pinkish. And then we have an orange, pink, red, green, and purple. All right, I'm gonna tip my camera up just so you guys can kind of see that. See how I have them in different piles? Okay, so we're going to, that's part of our data collection, is we have to separate them all out first. So I'm going to keep doing that. You guys go back to your problem of the week, and then when you're when you have your graph ready and you've got your data collected, either written down somewhere else on a separate piece of paper, then you can open the video back up to see what we're going to do next after we collect our data. All right, welcome back to the lesson. If you're still watching, I am just still separating out my jelly beans, and I'm separating them into groups of color. I have yellow, orange, red, green, purple, and pink. And so I'm just opening, I have one egg left. And if you pause the video at all to collect your own data, that's great. If you've been watching the whole time, then you know that you've been watching me put my jelly beans into different groups. All right, so that was the last one. So now, just kind of clean up your area, get ready to draw our graph. So for a bar graph, we are going to use different colored bars. So to do this, you count how many of each one that you have, and then you draw a bar from 0, which is at the bottom, up to however many you have. Now, I left my data bar blank, but you can vary, but each one of these equals 12, or equals 1, excuse me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Each dash equals 1. So I didn't take the time to label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way up to 12, but you can if you want. Okay, so now I'm going to count how many of each one that I have, and we're going to draw our bar. And I actually have to add a label to my graph because I did not originally put orange on there. So that's why I said you got to make sure you have some extra room so you can add anything extra that needs to be added in. So the first one that I'm going to do is yellow. So here is my pile of yellow jelly beans. Whoops, and one just fell. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So using my yellow marker, I'm going to draw a bar from 0 to 6. And for me, the easiest way to do it is to draw a line as even as you can with 6, and then draw your lines down first before you color it in, just so we can get it as accurate or as close to correct as possible. So then you just color that in. Okay, so there's my yellow. I had 6. And now would be a good time to label those lines if you didn't already. It's 6. So So I put my yellow bar and then I labeled my data section of the graph with the number 6. Now I'm going to move on to my purple jelly beans. I only have 4. So purple marker, going to the purple, and I'm going to count up to 4 and draw my bar. And color it in. Okay. And then you just keep going. So now you guys can pause the video and do your own graph with the numbers and data from the problem of the week. And I'm going to finish my own, and then I'll tell you how we solve the problem. So go ahead and pause the video right here and put your data in your graph while I do my own. All right, if you're watching the video, that means that you already entered your data in your graph, so good job on that. I am still finishing mine up. And I am surprised at my results so far. I'm actually getting a wide variety of data, which is great. So far, everything has been different. So I have 7 red and 6 yellow and 4 purple. All right. So after you're done collecting your data, you've sorted it into groups, or came up with some sort of system to keep track of it, whether it was a tally sheet or you just circled the numbers, however you want to do it, and you've created your graph. Now you get to answer the question that the problem was asking. So some of the questions might be which color or which group had the most. So in my graph, I would look at my graph and find the group that had the highest bar. The one with the most is going to be the one with the tallest bar. So looking at my graph, my highest group or biggest bar was the red jelly beans, and I had 7. Okay, so that could be one question. Another question might be which group had the least. And so you would look at your graph. The shortest bar is going to be the least. So mine was purple, and I only had 4. Then it may ask you which one had more, the red or the yellow. The wording could be a little bit different. You have to use your data and use your graph to solve your answer. Okay? And it might use words, like I said, shortest, tallest, least, most. So use those vocabulary words that we have talked about previously in our other math problems, greatest and least, order the numbers, which one has more, to solve. But now you have a nice picture and a nice data table to use. So that is the end of our lesson for today. Use what we talked about to solve the problem of the week. And I am going to go ahead and finish my graph. I didn't quite finish it yet. So I will put my finished graph on the website. You'll see it right above this video, so you can see what a full finished graph would look like, and use that to help you if you need it. All right. And I will see you guys next week for our next lesson about graphs. Good luck on your problem.